You're currently being bombarded by invisible noise.
Oh, constantly.
Right. Between the Wi-Fi signals bouncing around your room, the phantom vibrations of notifications, and just that low, constant hum of modern anxiety.
It is a complete sensory overload.
It really is, and it never truly shuts off.
Yeah.
But what if the ultimate technology to silence that digital chaos wasn't, a new app or a smartwatch or some rigid psychological framework?
Right.
What if it was just a fragile white rock pulled straight out of the dirt?
It is such a profound paradox, honestly. I mean, we constantly try to fight digital noise with more digital tools.
Exactly.
Yet the metaphysical community argues that the most effective antidote to our modern hyperconnectivity is a return to the absolute stillness of the Earth's physical structures.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
If you are someone who constantly seeks out new knowledge, like the kind of learner who wants to understand not just the surface level, but the deep structural why behind things, you are in the right place. Today, we are exploring a really fascinating piece of metaphysical source material centered on a mineral called Scolecite.
Which is widely known within these circles as the stone of inner peace.
Right, the stone of inner peace.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to dissect exactly how this stone is used and the logic behind it. We're drawing from excerpts of a text called Scolecite, the Metaphysical Guide to Inner Peace and Spiritual Connection, alongside some really practical insights from a source called Crystals by Rob.
And it is a deeply layered topic.
It is. Whether you have a dedicated meditation altar at home or you are just someone listening to this on your commute, desperately seeking a way to, stop doom scrolling, the intricate framework of how this specific stone combats information overload is just absolutely captivating.
Because fundamentally, what we are really exploring today is humanity's pursuit of equanimity.
Mm-hmm.
It is fascinating to examine how a tangible object like a crystalline structure born from literal geological pressure is utilized by practitioners to anchor our most ethereal, emotional, and spiritual aspirations.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Before we analyze what the texts claim Scolecite does to the human mind and spirit, we need to establish what it actually is physically.
Right, the anatomy of the stone.
Exactly. Let's look at the physical and energetic anatomy of this thing. The sources state it is a member of the zeolite family and features a monoclinic crystal system.
Yes.
But for those of us who aren't geologists, what does that actually mean?
Well, breaking that down reveals a lot about its supposed metaphysical properties, actually. Physically, zeolites are microporous minerals. They literally have this honeycomb or cage-like molecular structure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in industrial science, zeolites were often used as commercial adsorbents and filters because their porous structure actually traps environmental toxins and heavy metals.
Wait, really? That is a brilliant parallel. So industrially, they're used to filter out physical impurities from water or air.
Right.
And the metaphysical claim is that they filter out energetic impurities from a person's aura.
That is the exact underlying logic practitioners apply, yeah. And regarding that monoclinic structure, it simply means the crystal lattice is slanted.
Okay.
So instead of forming in those chunky, symmetrical, blocky shapes we usually associate with, like quartz or amethyst, Scolecite typically forms in these incredibly delicate, needle-like sprays.
I've seen pictures of that.
Or you'll see it as polished, translucent white stones with this distinct, fibrous luster. Visually, it just looks fragile and soft.
And the sources really emphasize that its energetic baseline completely matches that visual softness. The text specifically describes its vibration as a gentle power.
A gentle power, exactly.
To put that into perspective, there are some high-energy crystals out there designed to rapidly clear blockages. They act like a loud double shot of espresso for your nervous system.
Right, very intense.
But Scolecite operates differently. If those stones are the espressos, Scolecite sounds more like a warm, soothing cup of chamomile tea for your soul. Or even like a pair of high-end noise-canceling headphones for your energetic field.
Oh, the noise-canceling headphone analogy is spot on.
It doesn't shout over the chaos, It emits a counter frequency that neutralizes it.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that in a world characterized by sensory shouting, where every billboard, screen, and email is competing aggressively for your attention, Scolecite's whisper provides a really necessary counterbalance. The texts position it as a premier tool precisely because it doesn't add any new stimulation. It acts as a neutralizing agent, establishing a baseline of profound stillness.
And because it acts as this cooling presence, its primary everyday application naturally targets emotional turbulence.
Yes, the everyday stress.
The guide brilliantly refers to this as mental smog. I mean, If you are sitting in traffic right now, your brain is likely hovering in a high-stress beta wave state.
Which is exhausting.
It is, and it contributes to that thick, hazy accumulation of low-level anxiety and overthinking that we all just sort of accept as normal these days.
Well, Scolecite is described by the sources as a master of calm cooling. It is supposedly highly effective for navigating high-stress environments, panic disorders, and chronic anxiety.
Right.
It acts as a stone of connection in relationships, too, fostering a softer, heart-centered approach to conflict resolution.
And Rob's specific insights echo this perfectly. He calls it a gentle emotional balm, providing a safe container for processing difficult feelings without forcing an aggressive emotional release.
Yeah, and he even suggests pairing it with blue lace agate or rose quartz to amplify that soothing energy.
So hold on, let me push back gently on the mechanics of this, because I know you listening might be wondering about this.
Sure.
For a listener who doesn't necessarily buy into auric fields, someone who wants the science,
Yeah.
is there a psychological or neurological mechanism at play here? The sources suggest that simply carrying a piece of Scolecite in your pocket and rubbing it during a stressful social situation can actually lower your heart rate.
Right, they do claim that.
And help the brain reach deep alpha and theta states of consciousness. So is this just a fancy placebo effect, or is it a tactile grounding technique?
It is likely a combination of tactile grounding and the practitioner's metaphysical framework. Psychologically, rubbing a smooth, fibrous stone acts as a somatic anchor.
Okay.
It brings your attention out of your racing thoughts and into your physical body, which stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. That physical action alone signals your body to drop its heart rate.
And then the metaphysical framework takes that a step further, I assume.
It does, yeah. The texts explain this through the concept of auric combing.
Auric combing.
Yes. Imagine your energetic field is full of static electricity from the stress of the day. Scolecite's vibration is described as incredibly fine. As it literally combs through your subtle bodies, it allegedly removes those energetic disruptions, that's static,
Wow.
and it replaces them with a steady flow of high vibrational light, which naturally reduces feelings of overwhelm and allows the nervous system to physically relax.
Which naturally leads to those brainwave shifts the text mentions.
Exactly.
Alpha waves represent a state of relaxed focus, like when you're taking a quiet walk. And theta waves occur during deep meditation, or REM sleep.
Right, so when the invisible irritants are combed away, the physical nervous system receives the signal that it is safe to downregulate. It clears the smog so your brain can physically transition into those restorative alpha and theta states.
That makes a lot of sense. And if Scolecite is removing all this daily smog so the brain can downregulate, it stands to reason that clearing the emotional static isn't actually the end goal.
No, not at all.
It is just the preparation. Once the mind is quieted, the texts claim you can access much deeper, higher dimensional spiritual states. This is where Scolecite really transitions from being a tool for emotional survival into a tool for spiritual exploration.
It is the transition from the emotional to the ethereal.
Exactly. The sources state that Scolecite triggers spiritual lucidness. During meditation, it essentially acts as a high-frequency antenna.
Yes, an antenna.
It clears the clutter so you can receive clear messages from spirit guides. It aligns the throat and crown chakras, pulling a higher frequency light down the central channel of the body.
But the detail that truly stands out here is its connection to the soul star chakra.
Oh, here's where it gets really interesting. Because for listeners familiar with traditional chakra systems, you usually think of the 7 points along the physical body,
Right.
ending at the crown of the head.
Right, exactly.
The soul star chakra, however, is located roughly 6 inches above the physical head. It exists entirely outside of your physical form.
It is literally floating above you.
That concept alone shifts the entire paradigm. I mean, expanding our traditional understanding of chakras, what does an external chakra signify in this framework?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, activating a chakra located outside the physical form is ultimately about achieving a profound sense of cosmic belonging.
Cosmic belonging. I like that.
Yeah, modern life often makes us feel isolated, like we are just a mind trapped in a physical body, battling through a daily grind. Activating the soul star connects the practitioner to the realization that they are part of a vast, interconnected, universal web.
It lifts you out of that hyper-individualistic mindset.
Precisely. And Rodin describes Scolecite as a bridge crystal connecting the physical and spiritual realms to activate this specific upper portal.
And preventing information overload while it does that.
Yes, because of its signature gentle power, it ensures that the influx of this divine collective energy feels supportive rather than completely overwhelming to the conscious mind.
That brings us to a fascinating pivot. If the stone works by downregulating the conscious mind so it can access the collective web, its ultimate testing ground isn't a waking meditation.
No, it's not.
According to the texts, Scolecite's most profound effects occur when we are completely vulnerable, when our conscious mind shuts down entirely during sleep.
The guide specifically notes that placing Scolecite under a pillow or on a nightstand goes far beyond promoting a standard night of restful sleep.
Right. It acts as a major catalyst for the subconscious.
And the claims here are pretty intense. It supposedly enhances dream recall, facilitates lucid dreaming, and even induces astral travel.
Yeah, astral travel.
And the texts suggest combining it with incredibly high-frequency stones like phenacite or moldavite to strengthen connections to the higher realms while your physical body rests.
Which is a powerful combination.
It sounds powerful, but I have to ask a highly practical question on behalf of anyone listening who might find this a bit intimidating.
Of course.
If I'm using this stone as a cosmic antenna to literally astral project out of my body and commune with higher dimensions while I'm supposed to be sleeping and recovering from a long day,
Right.
aren't I going to wake up completely drained? I mean, isn't there a serious risk of spiritual overwhelm or waking up more exhausted than when I went to bed?
This raises an important question, and that risk of spiritual overwhelm is a very real concern within the metaphysical community.
I would imagine so. Opening portals to higher frequencies requires immense energy, but Rob's specific advice addresses this head on.
What does it suggest?
He emphasizes that practitioners shouldn't just fly blind into these upper realms. To prevent spiritual overwhelm, if you are doing intense spiritual exploration or astral work, you must pair Scolecite with grounding stones.
Like what?
Things like smoky quartz, black tourmaline, or hematite.
Oh, I see. So think of it like an electrical circuit. You wouldn't wire a high-voltage house without a ground wire.
That is a perfect analogy. By combining the high-frequency lift of Scolecite with the heavy, earthbound energy of a grounding stone, you keep your energetic circuit centered and balanced.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
It acts as an anchor, ensuring that no matter how far your consciousness travels in your dreams, you have a safe, grounded tether pulling you back to your physical body, so you don't wake up feeling scattered or depleted.
So to safely navigate these deep spiritual waters without getting overwhelmed, practitioners clearly don't just use Scolecite in a vacuum.
No, definitely not.
They build an intricate, cross-cultural, layered sensory and symbolic toolkit around it. And honestly, the text provides a metaphysical toolkit that is incredibly detailed, to the point of being almost dizzying.
The wildly diverse associations listed in the guide are extensive, yeah. And they depend entirely on which chakra is being targeted.
Right, whether you are focusing on the third eye or pushing up into the crown and soul star chakras. Let's break down the logic behind some of these associations.
Sure.
Because you have spirit animals listed, like the eagle, raven, and spider. And then the text links Scolecite to astrological planets like Saturn and Neptune for the third eye, but Jupiter and Uranus for the soul star.
Along with zodiac signs like Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra.
Exactly. Why those specific planets for the soul star?
Well, in esoteric astrology, Jupiter represents expansion, higher learning, and stepping beyond the known boundaries.
Oh, which aligns perfectly with the goal of the soul star chakra.
Exactly, because as we established, that chakra is about expanding consciousness outside the physical body. And Uranus represents sudden insight and breaking old paradigms. So pairing a stone of inner peace with the planetary energy of expansion creates a highly specific energetic recipe.
That same logic applies to the sensory items they list. You use white or magenta candles for the soul star, but violet for the crown and indigo for the third eye.
Matching the traditional color frequencies of those chakras.
Right. And then there is a whole apothecary of herbs and essential oils.
Yeah.
Everything from jasmine to ylang yao, cinnamon, and patchouli.
Take ylang ylang, for example. In traditional aromatherapy, yang is heavily used to physically lower blood pressure and reduce cortisol levels.
Wow, really?
Yes. So the practitioner is mirroring the metaphysical claim of the stone, that it lowers the heart rate and clears mental smog, with a botanical tool that biologically does the exact same thing.
That is fascinating. But the part of the toolkit that truly caught my attention is the list of deities and spirits.
Oh, yes.
It is incredible. You have Greek and Roman goddesses like Juno, Lua, and Salacia, and the earth goddess Gaia, sitting right next to Buddhist figures like Kuan Yin and Buddha.
And Ahura Mazda from Zoroastrianism.
Exactly. And right next to them, Greek gods like Zeus and elemental spirits like sylphs, zephyrs, and fairies of trees and winds. Not to mention archangels like Mariel for the soul star and Metatron for the crown and third eye.
It is a lot to take in.
It's like the ultimate metaphysical crossover event. How do all of these disparate cultural and religious figures fit into the framework of this one white stone?
I think the sheer diversity of that list reviews the underlying philosophy of the source material. This level of syncretism proves how universally human the desire for spiritual connection is.
Right.
Within this framework, Scolecite is considered so fundamentally versatile and nurturing that it can harmonize with almost any spiritual framework the user brings to it.
So it's kind of like a blank canvas or a universal translator.
That's exactly it. If your personal understanding of higher wisdom is viewed through the lens of Archangel Metatron, Scolecite supports that. If you connect more deeply through Eastern deities like Kuan Yin, the embodiment of profound compassion, it supports that too.
The stone is simply the conduit.
Yes. The specific deities, planets, and herbs are just the vocabulary the practitioner uses to communicate their intention. It allows you to build a sacred space using the symbols that resonate most deeply with you.
That is a really beautiful way to frame it. So let's bring all of this together for you listening.
Let's do it.
We started with the physical description of a mineral from the zeolite family. These delicate, slanted, needle-like structures that literally act as molecular cages to trap impurities.
A fragile exterior carrying a profound, quiet strength.
From that physical structure, we traced its everyday use as a pocket-sized emotional balm. We explored how the tactile sensation combined with the concept of auric combing can help clear your mental smog.
Acting like noise-canceling headphones for your energetic field.
Right. And we followed that trajectory all the way up to its role as a cosmic antenna, aligning the upper chakras, activating the external soul star, and serving as a safe gateway for astral travel and deep lineage healing.
And I think the key takeaway for you listening is that whether you want to actively explore the spiritual realms during your sleep, or you simply want to stop doom scrolling and get a peaceful night of rest.
Which we all need.
Absolutely. The core lesson of Scolecite is the immense transformative value of cultivating inner stillness. The texts argue that peace isn't just the absence of noise. It is an active state that sometimes requires physical anchors to maintain.
Which leaves us with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
If a tangible object pulled straight from the dirt, like a simple piece of fibrous scolecite, is believed to hold the exact frequency needed to cure our modern mental smog and reconnect us to a sense of cosmic belonging, it makes you wonder, how much of our daily, relentless anxiety is simply a symptom of us severing our physical connection to the natural structures of the earth itself? Maybe the ultimate technology we need isn't found on a screen, but in remembering how to listen to the whispers of the ground we walk on.